What is up, everybody? It's me, Jason McIntyre, joined in studio by Sammy P and Geoff Schwartz via Dallas. Yes, he's in Dallas. We're doing Talk the Schedule here. Everybody's excited. Schedule release day in the NFL. Sammy, how excited are you for this, man?
Mostly excited to be here, sitting across from you. I can't believe in the middle of May, we're breaking down week one lines. These games don't kick off until September, yet the appetite is real.
Come on, Geoff. It's never too early to gamble on the NFL.
Feels real, right? We knew who the opponents were, and now we obviously know who's playing. Like, it feels real. I love this.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to do it all. We're going to break down week one, the holiday games. We're going through season win totals, over, under. We got some props at the end of the show. But first, remember, join the NFL schedule release show currently on the NFL Network and FS1. And remember, this is going to be the greatest NFL season ever. We have a 17th game. Yes, more football. Everyone wins. More football to gamble on. If you want tickets, head over to NFL.com/tickets. Let's get to the schedule. All right, guys, we're going to start with the top 5 games of the NFL season. We've broken it down. These are the 5 best games, starting, of course, Kansas City, Baltimore, week 2. Lamar Jackson, Sam, he has really struggled against the Chiefs, has yet to beat them. Everybody loves Kansas City to go back to the Super Bowl again. I like this game a lot. It's early. Again, it's early. Like you said, it's May. But, you know, how excited are you for this one?
Oh, I'm pumped. I mean, you talk about 2 elite quarterbacks, Jackson and Mahomes. I'm worried about the malaise and the Super Bowl hangover, though, for the Chiefs. And we'll see how long it takes that offensive line, Geoff, to get acclimated, because it's not easy to put that puzzle piece back together in the offseason.
It definitely isn't, but I think the Chiefs will be motivated more than they maybe have ever been, obviously, coming off that loss and with new offensive line. And remember, the Ravens have gotten progressively worse against the Chiefs in the 3 matchups now. So it's a big game for the Ravens. They have to prove to themselves they can beat the Chiefs.
Geoff knows offensive lines. The Chiefs, I think they got to replace 4 offensive linemen. The Ravens and Lamar's right side, brand new. Let's get to game number 4. The Buffalo Bills. Hey, listen, Josh Allen might have them going to the Super Bowl this year. Who knows? Week 14 against Tampa Bay, a.k.a. Tampa Bay. Listen, there's going to be some talk. I know you guys, it's only May. But there is going to be talk, Sammy, about maybe Tampa Bay running the table. Drew Brees is gone from the division. I think Tampa's going to dominate the NFC. Buffalo could be standing in their way of perfection. Yes, 17-0. Sammy P, where are you on this one?
I feel like you talked to Skip Bayless before this hit, right? Didn't he have them 17-0 going through the whole regular season? If the winner of this game has the best defense, I think it'll be Tampa Bay. But this Buffalo team, all they've done over the last couple of years is put together and accumulate offensive talent. They've got skill. They have speed on the outside. They have an offensive aerial. They could take Tampa by surprise.
You know, to me, this season's all about Josh Allen proving what he was last year for the Bills, right? We know he's good enough to win playoff games, but now he's going to get a test. Every single game, someone's going to bring the best defense he's seen all year against him. This is another opportunity for him to prove himself. We know Tampa can do it. We know Tom can do it. Buffalo has got to beat Kansas City and Tampa Bay in the same year. I'm excited to see how they do it.
Yeah, we're going to talk some Bills later. Just remember, Josh Allen, mediocre quarterback in college. Josh Allen, okay to start his career, and then he was an MVP candidate. I think there's regression coming, but I digress. Let's get to the 3rd best game on the NFL schedule. It's the Cleveland Browns, everybody's favorite team, right? The Browns are Super Bowl contenders against Pittsburgh, and we saw the Steelers. Boy, Sam, Ben Roethlisberger looked shot at the end of the season. 10 picks in his last 7 games. This is a team that started undefeated. They were thinking Super Bowl, and then they lost to the Browns in the playoffs. Where are you on the Browns and the Steelers?
I love this matchup, and I have for the last couple of years. Pittsburgh, somehow, someway, they always find that wide receiver, though, and they develop them.
Yes.
One guy leaves, another one fills right in. Cleveland is a very interesting team, too, perception-wise. 2 years ago, they won the Super Bowl in the offseason. Nobody wanted about them last year. This year, I think it's that 3rd year, that 3rd full season of Baker Mayfield. I'm excited to see what he has to offer.
The Browns have lost 17 straight regular season games in Pittsburgh. If they win this game, which could be for the division, I think we see a change of the tide in this rivalry where the Browns are on top and the Steelers, having replaced Big Ben, are on the downside.
All right, number 2 here. This is a difficult team to talk about. We're going to struggle with it all show. The Green Bay Packers at the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, on paper, today, Sam, this looks great, right? Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. Where do I sign up for this game? I mean, goodness, it's going to be a big-time TV audience, fantasy gambling. It's going to be off the charts. Assuming Aaron Rodgers plays. This could be Jordan Love. We'll see. I personally think there's a 49% chance Aaron Rodgers gets traded, kind of diminishing this game. But if he stays in Green Bay, Sam, this game might be the game of the year.
All things pending, of course. We shall see. Green Bay, Kansas City could go from 2 to 22 or maybe 52 if Rodgers is in fact out. But this league is about the quarterback. Look no farther than the AFC, NFC championship games last year. You need a quarterback to make noise in this league.
The Packers are scheduled for 6 primetime games this season, which makes me feel the NFL thinks Aaron Rodgers will be the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. So that gives me some hope that this game will be Rodgers against Mahomes.
All right, let's get to number 1. Now, come on, guys. This is a layup. Tom Brady against Bill Belichick. This could be the game of the century. Yeah, I mean, seriously, it's that exciting. You know Belichick's going to have something cooked up. I will just say, the Patriots could be looking, Sam, you know this, being a Boston guy, okay? They could be looking at 6 or 7 new starters. I don't know who's starting at quarterback. Is it going to be Cam? Is it going to be Mac Jones? But we know Brady's going to come to play. Brady took less money, so Tampa could return all its offensive and defensive starters. Never happened before. This has Game of the Year written all over it.
And New England, with the additions in the offseason, rarely has Bill Belichick had the checkbook and had a blank checkbook. He has done nothing but fill the holes they had on both sides of the ball. I think they retooled the offensive line. I'm curious to know what New England's record will be, Geoff, at this point in time. Are they 3-0? Are they 2-1? Are they 0-3? That's the most polarizing team in the league.
They are, and I cannot wait for this matchup because this will fuel all of us for the entire week to talk about what's going to go down here. Bill Belichick defensively, Tom Brady offensively. I cannot wait for this matchup, and I agree it is the best matchup, at least on paper, of the year because of that rivalry between those two.
All right, we went through the 5 best games of the season. Now let's get to the holiday matchups. You know, just so you can plan your holiday schedule when you got to pick up family from the airport or avoid them. Let's start with Thanksgiving Day. Folks, the schedule comes out, and Detroit Lions fans are excited because they get to find out who's going to destroy their team on Thanksgiving. Whew. The Lions have lost 4 straight on Thanksgiving. They might be the worst team in the league. They're the early game against the Bears. By this point, we should know if Andy Dalton's still the guy or Justin Fields is the new guy.
Oh, come on. They better have Andy Dalton out of the way by Thanksgiving. Are you out of your mind?
Listen, Nagy and Pace, I don't know what those guys are running there in Chicago, but I kind of like betting against the Lions on Thanksgiving. It's a tradition now.
It is a tradition. The Lions have also spoiled a couple of Thanksgivings. A couple of times at Thanksgiving, I snapped at my aunt, passed the potatoes, and I lost a couple hundred on the Lions. It's the worst. Don't bet the Lions on Thanksgiving, but it is Chicago, Detroit. I hope, Geoff, they better have Justin Fields in the saddle by here.
I think Justin Fields is starting week 1, so if he's not starting by Thanksgiving, there's something else going on in Chicago. This is his job, guys. When he goes week 1 to Los Angeles, he will be the starting quarterback of the Bears.
All right, so the afternoon Thanksgiving game, Raiders and Cowboys. You guys know the Raiders are definitely one of the bets of the year, of course, being 2001, you know, when Gruden had a good team with the Raiders. They're going to be terrible this year. One of the teams I will be looking to bet against every single week, except maybe Thanksgiving, because we know Dallas, everybody wants to bet them right when they sit down and start getting the turkey and the mashed potatoes, and then Jerry Jones and the Cowboys fall apart, Sam, right? It's like a tradition every year.
This should be a shootout points-wise.
Yes.
If you're looking for points, you probably came into the right place in the afternoon game. Vegas, Dallas. We know Dallas, Geoff, really bad on defense last year, although they did address a lot of those holes in the draft. I thought they drafted pretty well. This game, until further notice, should have plenty of fireworks.
I'm with you. 2 bad defenses, 2 good offenses. We know they can play, but you're right. If Dallas can play a little bit better on defense, which I'm still skeptical of this year with Dan Quinn as a new DC, they got a shot to win the division. We'll talk about that more later.
Yeah, the evening game on Thanksgiving is Buffalo and New Orleans. I got to say, I'm a little surprised New Orleans got so many primetime games this year. Drew Brees not suiting up. It's either going to be famous Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill. Either way, I'm going to be fading the Saints a lot this year. I know Sean Payton has worked wonders without Brees under center. 8-1 the last 2 years. So, you know, people are going to want to back the Saints here. I don't know. This Buffalo team looks really good, even though, Sam, they were 6-1 in one-score games last year. We know that number usually regresses the following year.
Are we assuming the capacity is 100%? In the
yes,
dome.
We are.
If it is, I'm guessing this will be a good spot for New Orleans. I will take New Orleans in this spot because, Geoff, when we talk about New Orleans, we always talk about the quarterback, whether it's Brees or Hill or Winston, Sean Payton, the Wizard. We never talk about the fact that they've been a top 5 defense in 4 of the last 5 years. We never discuss that.
Well, they're going to have to be a great defense this year because offensively they're not going to have the output that we've expected. For me, for Buffalo all season long, I want to see how they handle success, right? We know they got it last year. It happened very quickly for Josh Allen. How does the entire team handle basically having to win games now? Like they go to New Orleans, it's a big game. Got to win this game.
Pretty cool this year, folks. Thanksgiving is loaded, and we got games on Christmas now. Unbelievable. So the matchups are really good. Like, honestly, the Browns probably going to be, Sam, I don't know, conservatively 12-3 heading into a Christmas Day game against Jordan Love and the failing Packers. You can tell I'm rooting against Aaron Rodgers to stay in Green Bay. Again, I'm excited for all these Browns games. I know you're lukewarm on them, but I'm just telling you, this team is stacked roster-wise, Sam. I think the Browns have a top 5 roster in the league.
I wouldn't fight you on that. I'm actually higher on the Browns and lower on the Ravens than most people, but I actually saw a couple reports. We know during the NFL draft, Green Bay dominated the conversation before the draft, and this was a potential trade. Aaron Rodgers for Baker Mayfield.
Yes.
I know people are penciling in Rodgers to Denver, Geoff, but imagine a flip there, and we're talking about Rodgers and Brown.
If Rodgers goes to Cleveland in that offense with the roster they have in the NFL, they might be the favorite to win the AFC. Might be the favorite to win that. Like that roster, guys, is Jason. I go a step further. They might have the best roster in the NFL. Now, obviously, quarterback, you outweigh the quarterback position with Pat Mahomes over Baker Mayfield. But this roster, guys, from top to bottom, is one of the best in the NFL. They did a great job retooling their secondary this offseason.
All right, so Christmas night, after you've taken off your Christmas sweater, the ugly Christmas sweater everybody has, you're going to hunker down for Colts Cardinals. And I'm telling you, you know this is going to be a great game because the NFC West is stacked. I am irrationally excited about the Cardinals. We'll get to them later. And the Colts should be in the mix because their division's pretty awful. So this is going to be a huge game. Sam, I don't know. Should we start gassing up the Cardinals from now? I'm on the Kyler Murray bandwagon.
Well, everybody is, and they're going to be one of the most popular teams in the markets to win division, to win conference. I even saw that after they signed J.J. Watt, somebody walked into Fox Bet and laid a dime on the Arizona Cardinals to win the whole thing. Carson Wentz does not excite me in Indianapolis, Geoff. That's the only problem. I'm not excited about Carson Wentz leading my offense if I'm a Colts fan.
We'll get to the Colts in a second, but Jason, have you watched Arizona play football? Have you watched Cliff Kingsbury blow the end of games repeatedly over and over and over again? Have you watched his offense be stagnant and not know what to do and get covered and leave wide receivers? How can you be high in Arizona? Coaching matters so much in this league, and they have a bad football coach.
Yeah, Kingsbury struggled, no doubt about it. I do want to point out Vance Joseph, despite Patrick Peterson leading the NFL in penalties at cornerback and a beat-up defense. They were 10th in DVOA. Like, they were a good defense. It kept them in the game. Kingsbury kept blowing it. I don't expect that show to go on now that he has the immortal A.J. Green at receiver, obviously. And Rondale Moore, Purdue guy. Come on, you got to love it, Geoff. All right, Geoff.
He has to be able to move those guys around and use them properly. I have yet to see that. I do not believe that. I'll be a strong fade.
Okay, I think we're doing more Cardinals later. Save your ammo, Geoff. You can come at me hard later. Let's quickly go Thursday Night Football. Fox has a ridiculously good lineup. Thursday Night Football games. Here we go. Circle Week 9 right now. Jets, Colts. You guys know, if you watch Talk the Line, I'm a big Jets fan. By that point, Salah, Zach Wilson, a.k.a. the Mormon Mahomes, they should be hitting their stride in New York. Sam, any game jump out at you there? Patriots, Falcons, perhaps?
I think the most puzzling one, to try and figure out is Week 11, not to steal your thunder, but to try and figure out what these teams are at that point in the season. I could see New England being potentially 6-5. If things go south, Cam gets hurt, Cam gets benched, and Mac Jones isn't ready, they could be 3-8 by this point. In Atlanta, I am so excited, Geoff, to watch this offense with Kyle Pitts in the fold, inside the 10. Get him the ball and get out of the way. Throw it up, go get it.
Julio Jones doesn't play for the Falcons anymore. Let's just go to Kyle Pitts. Okay, let's move on. All right, guys, are you ready? Week 1. This is why Sam was all the way flown out here to LA so we could discuss. Look at this Week 1 schedule. Off the charts good. We got the great graphics team highlighting the Fox games. I mean, there's one Fox game there that really jumps out. Green Bay, New Orleans. Hello. I mean, that's a pretty dang good game. I also like Philadelphia, Atlanta. You know, Sam's very excited for the Arthur Smith era. I'm as equally excited for the Jalen Hurts era. And yes, I do think Jalen Hurts has a chance in Philly to do something. We'll get to their season win total shortly, but anything there jump out at you, Sam?
San Francisco, Detroit, another matchup where I'm excited to see how the San Francisco 49ers perform when everybody is ideally healthy. Last year, just decimated by injuries. Bosa, Kittle, Jimmy G, skill players out. And Detroit with Dan Campbell, what do they have to offer? I look at teams that played poorly the year before, and I like to see, Geoff, if I could find an advantage to bounce back in the following season.
Especially with injuries, right? Because we know the injuries typically year by year, one down year with injuries, then you have a very healthy year. To me, when these lines first came out, it's Atlanta, right? Opening at minus a point and a half. I jumped to them right away. The Eagles are going to be bad, guys. They're going to be awful this season. I do not trust their coach and the things he has said so far. I think he was hired to be a puppet for the front office. I'm very high on Arthur Smith and what Atlanta Falcons can do offensively. We saw what he did with Ryan Tannehill and the talent in Tennessee. I'm high on the Falcons, which they always break my heart. But I'm going to go back to the Falcons week 1 here.
Wow, off the top rope, Geoff Schwartz onto Nick Sirianni. Guy hasn't even coached a training camp yet, and you're killing him. All right, let's see the lines for the Week 1 games. And we're gonna spend some time here, folks, because there's a couple. First of all, there's one that if you haven't bet this game yet, where is it? Ah, yes, there it is. The Houston Texans are favored in Week 1. Fox Bet, you're gonna have to adjust. Like, there is no way that's holding up. Okay, have you guys looked at the Houston Texans depth chart? I mean, it is abysmal. You have to go to Google because you don't know half the guys. Their best player on defense is Bradley Roby. He's suspended to start the season. Trevor Lawrence, Sam, my favorite stat about Trevor Lawrence, he's never lost a regular season football game in his life. Not in high school, not in the regular season at Clemson, and he's going to start 1-0. My lock of the week, 1 in May, okay? Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville goes into Houston, and it puts a hurting on, yes, Tyrod Taylor and the Houston Texans. What game do you like?
Well, I left my locks in Boston, but I can tell you right now, if you give me a pick on the LA Chargers right now against football team, and it's still great to say football team, I will take it. I will hammer that one. I think, Geoff, by the time we get to kickoff, this thing could blast all the way out to Chargers -3. A lot of wise guys I know are going to attack the LA Chargers in multiple ways. We'll talk about it throughout the rest of the show.
That's a fun game, especially in the trenches, right? Rashawn Slater, Chase Young, the rookie's first start for protecting Justin Herbert's blindside. That'd be a great matchup to watch.
I got one other one. Can I squeeze this one in real quick? I'm going to be betting against Ryan Tannehill probably every other week. I had a NFL friend tell me that Ryan Tannehill's like Dogecoin. Okay, even when things are going really, really well, you're still reluctant. You're like, well, what is this? Come on, is this real with Ryan Tannehill? I'm telling you right now, Arizona Cardinals, they're going to pound them. Tennessee fade this team this year. Lost Arthur Smith. Okay, lost their number 1 tight end, their number 2 receiver. Derrick Henry's led the league in carries 2 straight years. You know, his back's hurting from carrying this team. I do not like the Titans. Sam, can you echo those thoughts?
Well, I don't echo your love for the Cardinals, but
Okay.
I can tell you that you should probably take the 3.5 right now. This will not be available by September. No shot. This thing will cross through 3. This might get down to Tennessee -1.5 or -2. There will be money for the Cardinals in this spot.
I love that. All right, let's move on to the AFC. All right, now we're going season win totals over-unders for the AFC. We're going to start in the East. We're going to start with the Buffalo Bills, okay? This is a team that I think they won 9 of 10 to finish the regular season last year. Josh Allen, MVP candidate. I mentioned earlier, 6-1 in one-score games, and historically, that number flips because there's a lot of luck involved with the way the ball bounces, turnovers. Buffalo led a charmed life. They somehow kept Brian Daboll, Sam, the great offensive coordinator. If I'm doing anything here, it's probably the over because there's so much uncertainty in the rest of the AFC East at quarterback.
I don't love the juice at -143, but I do like the over here. And in case you've been under a rock for the last couple of weeks, there is an extra game this year. So remember that when you bake this into your equation. 17 regular season games. I like to go over the high teams, under the low teams. Naturally, I'm gravitated toward the 10.5. I don't love it, though, Geoff, at -143.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying there, but if you look at their schedule, they're going to be a favorite in 15 of 17 games. It still feels odd to say 17 games, right? The 2 games they're probably not going to be are at Kansas City and at Tampa. And if you look at their division, like you guys have mentioned, they could easily go 4-2, 5-1 in the division, which would put them over 10 games, 10 wins, I should say, if you look at the rest of the schedule. So I'm very high in Buffalo. I think them, the Browns, and the Chiefs are the 3 best teams in the AFC.
Fun McDermott stat, 4-0 to the over as a head coach in Buffalo. I think it's probably going to be 5-0. All right, now let's get to everybody's favorite New York football
Drum roll,
team.
please.
Yeah, the New York Jets. Here we go. 6.5 is the win total. That's one of the lower ones in the league. Listen, new quarterback, new coach, new culture, new philosophy. I mean, they got to new everything. Yeah, at least 6 or 7 new starters. I'm probably going to pass on this, but I will say, as we get closer to the season, I'm probably going to end up on the over here. They're my team. I like the Jets a lot. I do think they're going to have an advantage offensively. They got a lot of players, a lot of talent. I know Geoff, the offensive line guru here, he likes the kid they got to play guard out of USC, Tucker. Sam, Jets 6.5?
I'm leaning over, especially at a plus price. Corey Davis, Denzel Mims, Jamison Crowder. They bring in Elijah Moore from Ole Miss. But most importantly, guys, they allocate resources in the draft for the second straight year, and they pick a lineman, Geoff, in the first round. Keep Zach Wilson up and able, spread the rock around, let them make a man miss, make plays. I'd go over 6.5 plus money. Why not?
Okay.
I love that Jason was like, I don't know if I'm going to bet the over. Of course you're going to bet the over, Jason. Come on. Just give the people what you're going to do there. I would stay away from this team. Look, I don't really believe in Zach Wilson. I think if you're looking at a quarterback who might be a bust, I'm looking at him. I agree with Sam. They've done a good job of kind of putting together the pieces offensively for him, but it's a whole different ball game than at BYU. I think he's going to have a rude awakening early on. I know the division might help him out. The Patriots might not be as good. Maybe the Dolphins aren't as good this year if Tua is kind of not what we think he's going to be, but I'm not high on the Jets. I would stay away from this.
You know why I love this the most, though? Because Adam Gase,
He's gone. Yeah.
He's out of the way, so
bad.
he can't mess this up.
Come on, Geoff, get on board. Zach's Fifth Avenue, huh? You see what I did there? All right, so AFC East, who you guys got winning the division? We haven't done a lot of Miami talk. I think Miami's one of the most overvalued teams in the league. Super lucky last year. Geoff, we remember, on Talk the Line, we rode that special teams and defense last year. They're not getting it this year, and I'm not a believer in Tua. I don't like plus 350. Again, I hate laying juice, but for me, this is a pass, but it would be Buffalo or nothing to win the division. Sam?
Buffalo minus 162, a little too steep, though. I'd much rather go over the minus 143. I mean, if I have an option, Geoff, I'm going to take the over 10.5 wins at minus 143, then lay minus 162 to win the division. I don't know why that number on New England, though, is staring me right in the face at plus 375. It's juicy, and I shouldn't, but I probably will.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, if you're looking for the value play in this, right, it is New England, right? If you look at the history of what Belichick has been able to do. And look, here's an important fact, right? Last season, Bill Belichick, the coach, was good. They were 7-9 with a very bad roster. Now, Belichick, the GM, has not been great, and they had to make up for that with a lot of free agent signings. If you could get Cam Newton to play average, or maybe Mac Jones comes in and surprises early on, they will be a live dog here at the end of the season. They might not be good enough to win, but I think, Sam, to your point, though, there is some value here in taking New England.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move to the AFC North and everybody's favorite team. Everybody, listen, we beat up on these guys for, 2 decades? Now we're going to gas them up. The Cleveland Browns. Look at this, 9.5. Now, listen, that, minus 162 is heavy juice, okay? Sam, I kind of like this at 10. This is a team that won 11 games, and they're playing a third-place schedule, okay? This Cleveland team, with the exception of Baker Mayfield, Geoff, top 5 offensive line in the league. Secondary is loaded with first and second round picks. I really like Cleveland a lot. I don't know about winning the division, but over for sure. I just don't like the juice, Sam. So I would look for a 10, and I would lay the over.
This is correlated, I think, a lot with Lamar Jackson and his success. If you don't believe that he will take another step, you probably like the Cleveland Browns to take their step. That being said, with the numbers, man, minus 162 is tough. We may want to call up Fox Bet and say, hey, what can we get over 10?
Yeah.
What can we get over 10.5? Let's minimize the juice. Let's turn that minus into a plus, and then I'm interested.
I think they're built for a lot of success this year, guys. If you look at where they're good at, right? They're great in the trenches. They're great at offensive line. They're great at pass rush. What did they do this offseason? They added to the secondary, right? They added 2 players in free agency. They drafted Newsome from Northwestern. They're doing things the right way. Now, the question obviously is Baker Mayfield, right? I think at the best, he's maybe upper average area, but with the scheme they have there, they protect him very well with running the football, with play action pass. I think this is easily over team. I get your point, Sam, about the juice. It's not an excellent bet, especially when you look at their division odds to win the division, but I think over here is one of my favorite plays of the year.
Ooh, wow. Okay, now I just want to warn people, they do open with the Chiefs. Thank you for putting the schedule up. Last year, they opened with the Ravens. I loved the Browns last year. I drove to Vegas, 5 in the morning from LA, laid down a couple shekels on the Browns in week 1, and they got destroyed. And I had to tear that ticket up in the first quarter. So we like the Browns. I think we all agree. But opener against the Chiefs, be careful. All right, let's move on to the next team.
They will lose that game. Just let me
They
know.
will
So
definitely
don't fall
lose
off the
that game.
bandwagon if they lose that game.
And that's when there's value, right, Sammy? All right, let's get to the Pittsburgh Steelers over under 8.5. The only number I'll say here, Mike Tomlin has never had a losing record in his career in Pittsburgh. I believe 14 seasons, okay? Now, with 17 games, if they don't get the over here, that's a losing record. And I know past performance is not an indicator of the future. I'll just say Ben Roethlisberger looked shot, Sam, in the second half of the season. They didn't fix the offensive line. They lost their right tackle to Baltimore. Bud Dupree's gone. I have some questions. Under or pass for me here?
It's an under or pass for me. They are begging you. The bookmakers are begging you to look at this and go, I like the over. They're good for 9 games, and we get the extra game. They are so old at the offensive line position and at quarterback. And I know they have some skill players. I don't really like their roster all that much. If you like the over, you probably like Mike Tomlin, Geoff, but they are begging you here, man, to take the over. Begging you.
Yeah, and I'm taking the under here. Look, I think Mike Tomlin is a fantastic coach. I respect that he was able to get 8-8 out of Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph. Obviously, last year they started on fire. But guess what, guys? Unless Big Ben just defies all of what we see from older quarterbacks, right? He is on the downslope of his career. Quarterbacks at this age who are on the downslope of their career, not Tom Brady, right? Don't include him in this, but Drew Brees, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, when they go down, man, they go down. He's not going back up this year. So I'm not betting on a team with an older, aging quarterback who can't move and his arm looked shot last year. I'm not doing it. I know they changed their offense. I get that. But I'm out on the Steelers. I like Tomlin. I like what they do there. But I think they're under 8.5.
One final number on Pittsburgh. The great Fox research staff dug this up. Pittsburgh tied for a league high 10 games against teams that were in the playoffs last year. 10 of 17. Just food for thought. All right, let's move on to the next team because it's such a great division. The Baltimore Ravens. Be careful fading John Harbaugh. I know everybody wants to say, oh, Lamar, John Harbaugh, 8-4-1 to the over in his career win totals in Baltimore. I kind of like this team a lot. I do have a couple questions about the offensive line. For me, I don't know about 11.5, though, Sam. That does feel high. I think I would pass as opposed to fade the Ravens.
It's over or pass from me. They're a perfect regular season team. They do everything right in the regular season, but that's because I think a lot of times you get into the postseason and teams save the kitchen sink for Lamar Jackson. It has been proven he has been easier to stop in the second season than he has been in the regular season. And I don't know if it's schematics, Geoff. Do they get rid of everything by the playoffs? Did they not save enough? I don't know why that offense goes from awesome to awful in the postseason.
I think you're exactly right here. I think it's over or pass. Look, Lamar Jackson is a winning machine in the regular season. Even last year, when he was a little beat up, the offense was beat up, he was cramping, he was hurt, he had COVID, they still ended up winning a lot of football games, right? They just do a great job in the regular season. Sam, to your point in the postseason, man, I don't know what it is about their offense. I think defense is just focusing a little bit more. They hone in, they have the way to kind of stop him and stop the offense. But I'm over here just, I think, again, They go for a fourth down a bunch. They build their team right. They're really hard to stop week in and week out. I think they'll win a lot of football games, but they're not going to win any playoff games.
All right, who's winning this division, gentlemen? The Cincinnati Bengals. Can I get you to take a bite of that apple? Plus 2,200. Come on, Jamar Chase Hive. Where you at? Sam.
I'll take Cleveland, plus 145. I actually did. I wrote down and I circled 22-1. But, Geoff, I'm still upset that they didn't get my man Joe Burrow protection. You got to protect the prize piece.
Thank you. I am with you there. They should have drafted Panay Sewell. Look, they would have had Panay Sewell and, let's say, Terrence Marshall Jr. It's a pretty good draft, but they didn't do that. So I'm out on the Bengals, but for more than I think the Browns are the play here. Like you mentioned, you get some plus value here instead of taking the juice on their win total. Take the Browns here to win the division.
Okay, all right. Let's move on to the AFC South. For my money, one of the worst divisions in football. But I absolutely love, capital L, all the heart emojis, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm drinking that Trevor Lawrence Kool-Aid. Sam's laughing at me. Urban Meyer's just pouring me cup after cup. I love the cut of this team. I'm telling you, Sam, everything from the skill position players to fading the rest of the division. The division is really putrid. 6.5 seems low. I'm sorry, I'm hammering the over. Trevor Lawrence is a winner. He is clutch. He is all those cheesy words that describe Tim Tebow, who's probably going to save Jacksonville, right?
Quick record check. They did win one game last year. So the fact that their win total is 6.5 plays into everything you need to know about Jacksonville this year. You're going to pay a Trevor Lawrence tax every single way. And how about the over-under for his passing yards? 4,200 yards for Trevor Lawrence, year number one. Yeah, no pressure, kid.
I'm straight under here, Jason. I do not see this. All Urban Meyer has done so far has missteps, had to hire a strength coach, fire a strength coach. He drafted Travis Etienne in the first round, said he's our third down running back. This ain't college football, man. He's not your seventh running back that you have on the roster. You drafted number 1 overall. You better play him that way. Excuse me, not 21 overall, but 25th overall. The Tebow thing, the Tebow fiasco. The AFC South this year is the NFC East from last season. It's going to be a bunch of bad football teams battling to win 9 games.
Right, and that's why Jacksonville has a chance, but we will get the division in a second. All right, let's go to the Indianapolis Colts now. Unfortunately, I think Sam and I are both on the same page here. This is Fade City for me, folks. Geoff is the offensive line guru. He'll get to it, but their left tackle situation is extremely troubling. They just got the kid Fisher from the Chiefs, who's coming off an Achilles injury, to be their left tackle. He probably won't be ready until October. Why does that matter? Well, Carson Wentz last year was struggling behind an old, broken-down offensive line in Philly and got sacked 50 times, the most in the league. I don't trust Carson Wentz. I don't trust the left tackle. And I like the coach. I really like some of the skill position players. I like Pittman. I like Taylor. The defense is solid. They'll be in games. But I do not like 9.5. I'm under here.
It's a pass from me. I think they'll be on 9 wins with a game to go. I mean, honestly, you look at the schedule, they could shape up very well to do or die in week number 17. That's the reality of the situation. Don't love the splits, don't love minus 162, but I do like Frank Reich a lot. Yeah. He puts his teams in positions to win, Geoff, unlike Jason's guy, Cliff Kingsbury.
Here's my problem with this total, and I think under is the way to go, under or pass, is what are we getting from Carson Wentz, right? He was dead last season in efficiency, okay? Let's just say he becomes average. Average in efficiency is below what Phillip Rivers was last year, guys. Phillip Rivers was 11th in efficiency. He was not that bad. I'm not banking on Carson Wentz magically becoming something that he really hasn't been outside of that 1 year in 2017. So I have a so-so quarterback. You mentioned Eric Fisher coming to play left tackle, probably not ready till end of September, early October. I just don't buy Carson Wentz. I'm not ever betting an over on a quarterback that I don't like. And so I think Carson Wentz at the best is average this year, which doesn't put them over 9.5 wins.
Okay, who is winning the AFC South? And I'm just, I feel like I'm playing the Price is Right and all these lights are going off. What, plus 1,000 for the Jags? I mean, how do you not take that? Sam, you can mock me in a moment. I'm just going to say the Tennessee Titans, I already took some shots at them. Geez, I almost said a bad word there. I don't like them at all. I just don't know that I trust the rest of this division to do anything. And that's why the Jags, remember, 1-6 in one-score games last year. That kind of regresses year to year. It flops significantly. And by the way, Tennessee was 7-3 in one-score games last year. A lot of luck box wins there for the Titans. Plus 1,000 Jacksonville. Dinner's on me, Sammy P.
I didn't know we were supposed to wear the color of our favorite team to the set today. You've got your teal on too for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes.
10-1. I wouldn't take 20-1. I wouldn't take 30-1. It's not happening. I'm not buying the hype. And also, you would need to give me $1,000,000 to take the Houston Texans, because that ain't happening either. There is no shot. Their win total is, what, 4.5? Yeah. They are not winning the division.
Yeah. I'm surprised to see the Colts number with a little bit of even odds. I thought this would be a lot more, because you look at, and you guys have made great points, right? Tennessee loses their OC. They're not that good on defense quite yet. I think they drafted okay on defense. We have to see it first. Jacksonville, Jason, we did a show all last year. Every single week you talked about coaching, special teams, things buttoned up. Urban hasn't coached here forever, and he hasn't coached in the NFL, and you're betting on a guy who we know nothing about in the NFL, who's already had a bunch of missteps. I don't get that, Jason, not from you especially. So they're out for me. I mean, the Colts feel like the quote-unquote easy winner. I'm just surprised they're plus 100. I thought they'd be in the minus 150 area.
Okay. Listen, we've got some great talking points for the rest of the summer and the season. I can't wait. I mean, it's May. All right, let's move on. AFC West, the Kansas City Chiefs. What is there left to say? 14-2 last year. The total 12.5. I mean, listen, Geoff, I know you have a connection to this team, obviously. I don't think I can take that. I do wonder, guys, I looked this up. Only one team in the AFC in the last 25 years has been to 4 straight AFC title games. That's the Patriots. It's tough to do. I can see the Chiefs kind of laboring, going through the motions a little bit. 4 new offensive line starters. Watkins is gone. I don't know. I'm not touching 12.5, Sam.
I think if you fade the Kansas City Chiefs, though, in the regular season, you just hate Andy Reid. This guy, Geoff, has gone over the win total every single season in Kansas City. And he did it with Alex Smith, and he's done it, obviously, with Patrick Mahomes. If you fade the Chiefs, you're just looking to drink bleach. I mean, that's what it comes down to. You don't like money. You're trying to be the cool kid on the block. I am not fading Kansas City. No shot.
In 2013, we hit the over in 9 weeks. We started 9-0 that year. I mean, Andy Reid, to your point, wins a lot of games. So here's the thing about the Chiefs, guys. I get the Super Bowl hangover, but they got embarrassed in the Super Bowl, and now they very much upgrade their offense line. They're going to have 5 new starters, Jason, not just 4, right? But they've upgraded really at every position outside of right tackle. And their flaw last year was the offensive line at times, right? And they got better at that. If they protect Mahomes, who's stopping them in the AFC? Like, that's the problem, right? It's even when they sleepwalk through games, as it did last year at certain times, they still win the game. Like, I don't see them losing more than 1 or 2 games this season. I don't think they go undefeated. That's unrealistic. I think fans should kind of get off that bandwagon. But, we're looking at 13, 14, 15 wins for this team.
And you look at the schedule. Let's throw that up again. I mean, look at these games. How many games are they not favored in? 2? Maybe.
Remember, second half of the season, though, they were not a covering machine.
Well, the spreads were 10, 11. I mean, the spreads were bloated because they covered, I think, 8 of the first 9 games. Yep. So it's not about covering with win totals. It's about winning. They're going to be favored in 15 games, if not more.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to a team near and dear to my heart, the L.A. Chargers. Folks, 9.5. There's 4 over-unders that I have hit already. I absolutely love the Chargers. I mean, there's so much to like. I know they had a bad offensive line last year, 31st in pass block win rate. That's very bad. There's 32 teams. What did they do? They stole the All-Pro center from the Packers, and then they drafted a left tackle, the kid Slater. So Justin Herbert's going to have some protection. He put up massive numbers last year, and I like the new coach, Staley. Comes from the Rams, defensive-minded guy. He's going to have Derwin James back. I like this Chargers team a lot.
Playoffs. That's the next step for Los Angeles. And you look at their numbers, I actually bet over 9 flat, -110. So I got into the pool early. 9.5, obviously I still need 10 to win this one. You can't win a 10. You can't win a 9 without 10 for that matter. But +120, I don't hate that one bit. Geoff, I like Herbert a lot. 4,300 yards last year, 31 touchdowns. The kid's going to have an attack on offense.
2 worries I have for this. Number one is we don't know much about their head coach, right? It's a young coach. We know he was coached really well, as I should say, in Los Angeles with the Rams. I don't know much about him, and I'm curious to see how he does early on. And Sam, I'll throw this back to you. This feels like the trendy team, man. Everyone's going to throw money on the over here. Do we back trendy teams to go over their win total? It just feels like it's quote unquote too easy to back them this year.
They are a little trendy, and now that J-Mac likes them, they'll probably win 6 games. But I think Herbert has too much protection, too much ammo. I think Slater falling into their laps at 13, I think that was the steal of the first round. That kid is a top 10 talent. He's a left tackle for a decade in this league.
Who's going to win the AFC West? Now, I will say I already have money on the Denver Broncos, but at a much higher number, because this was back in March when they were going after Deshaun Watson. I was like, let me take a flyer. Plus 4,800 on Denver. Okay, look at how that's come down because the market's saying we don't want to get caught with our pants down in case they get Aaron Rodgers. Sammy P, I know you're not touching the KC -300.
I'm not laying 300 because if Mahomes does get hurt, this thing has no shot, and then you've lost 300 in your bet on 3 to win 1. So it's a pass. I don't laying chalk in 17-week increments because if you bet this in May, you have to wait until pretty much the end of December to cash this. Not laying 300. I don't like anything in this division. I'm not going to get cute either, Geoff.
I'm with you here. I think you just bet the win total over, and you take the plus money with that, and you run to the bank. Like, I think that's the way to go here. Kansas City should win the division unless there's injury, as Sam has mentioned. The Chargers might make it interesting, but the Broncos without Rodgers, no way. And the Vegas Raiders, get out of here.
I would look to see if there's a finish last in the division. I would look to bet on the Raiders for that. Just had to get another shot in because I haven't been to Vegas in 2 years. In a year, sorry. All right, let's get to who's going to win the AFC. Sam? You see, look at the numbers here. Tennessee, what are they doing on the board? Why are they up there? Denver, what are they doing up there? But I see Cleveland, I see Buffalo. Sammy P, I'll let you fire.
I could take Buffalo, but Kansas City's the best team in football. They're the best team in the AFC. At plus money, I agree with you, Geoff. I like the over win total more than the division. And at plus 275, if they get to the AFC Championship game, they'll probably be at home. They'll probably be favored. And then you could hedge this. You could take the dog plus the points and free roll it.
Look, I know that sometimes people watch these shows to get the value pick, right? To hear what we're going to say. The value is Kansas City. Like, guys, they're the best team in the NFL. They fixed their biggest problem with their offensive line. And Sam mentioned earlier, Jason, they win a ton of regular season games, and the ways they lose, they have fixed those problems. And if they have to only win 2 playoff games, if they're number 1 seed, I think I know that you go to 4 straight AFC Championship games. It doesn't happen very often. Go to 3 straight Super Bowls, but Chiefs are the winner here.
Give me a couple bucks on Buffalo and Cleveland while we're at it.
What about Jacksonville?
Winning, I mean, you got to walk before you can run. Goodness gracious, Sam. All right, remember, everybody, the full NFL schedule release show is happening right now. Second screen, right? NFL Network and FS1. And remember, 17 games this season. How geeked are you? I mean, Sam's grinning over here. He's all giddy. We are pumped up. If you want tickets, go to NFL.com/tickets. All right, let's move on to, yes, the NFC. The conference where you can make a lot of money because... Where do we start? The New York Giants, of course. Danny Dimes. We make fun of Danny Dimes maybe more than any other quarterback, Geoff. I think I called him Danny Loose Change once. The guy's been sacked 82 times in 2 seasons. Okay, 27 games. He has 29 fumbles and 22 picks. But now they got him Galladay. Saquon is back. They are set up for some success with the Giants. I like the defense. 7.5. Sam, can I talk you into an over?
You could talk me into an over. They're going to have to win all these games. It'll be like the first to 17 or the first to 21, though. They're not going to be in shootouts this year. Geoff, one bookmaker told me this will be one of the lowest total team on the board because they're built by defense. I still don't think taking Saquon Barkley second overall many years ago was the greatest pick in the world, but at this point in time, you play with the hand that you're dealt. Plus money? Okay, I'm interested.
I think the over is the right play here, but to your point, Sam, Jason Garrett still runs the offense. They didn't move on from him, and we know how conservative he can be at times. Yeah, this is a make-or-break year for Danny Dimes. He's got to play well this season. The Giants are going to move on. I think the roster is better than we think, especially at the offensive line and defense line. They added some pieces in the draft, obviously, there as well. I think over is the play here because I think some other teams in the division aren't going to be as good as we think.
All right, let's get to the Dallas Cowboys, everybody's favorite team. Tom Brady does not want you calling them America's team, but they are America's team. Dallas Cowboys over under 9.5. Sam, I'm not seeing what everybody else does. All I remember is last year, this defense was atrocious, and then they go out and get basically like 3 linebackers in the offseason. They were dead last in the NFL, allowed the most rushing yards before contact. Like they wouldn't even get a hand on a running back. They just got gashed at the line of scrimmage. The trenches aren't better. Sam, I don't like 9.5. Now, the schedule, though, is favorable.
You get Dak Prescott back, though, and that's the whole part of this bet, right? You go over 9.5. They're going to win 10 games, 11 games. They'll get blasted in the postseason because they can't stop anybody. But this division sucks, man. Football team will regress. I don't like anybody else in the division all that much. I think this is Dallas's division to lose, and they paid the quarterback, Geoff. Certainly, they think he's the guy.
In my notes, I wrote, who the heck knows for the Cowboys, right? I think they have so many unknowns, right? Dak is coming back off injury. I think he'll be good, but he's got to assimilate back in this offense. Their offensive line on paper really good, but is Teron Smith going to be healthy? Is Al Collins going to be healthy? What do they do at center? What do they do at left guard? Defensively, you're right, Jason. They added a bunch of pieces on defense. But Dan Quinn's defense in Atlanta the last 4 or 5 years was awful, right? Is he a good defensive coordinator, or was it Pete Carroll in Seattle? Like, I don't know what we're getting from Dan Quinn. So there's so many unknowns for the Cowboys. I think they could be good this year, but again, I'm staying away till I see them play a couple games and figure out kind of where they are defensively.
All right, let's move on. Who's going to win the NFC least, guys? I kind of look at this breakdown. I'm like, can somebody tell me when Ryan Fitzmagic is going to turn into a pumpkin? Because anytime he has a hint of success, the following year, it's like, oh, wait a minute, he's not very good? You know, the guy's 38 years old. I can't take Washington here. I'm not paying the Dallas tax, Sam. Give me Danny Loose Change and the Giants at plus 450.
I will bite the bait. I think the books are telling you everything you need to know. Minus 105 on Dallas. They're telling you, they're giving you the free space. I will bite the carrot, and I will go down the rabbit hole on Dallas, Geoff. Wow. Minus 105. They have the most talent on offense, and this is an offensive league.
I'm with you there, and also the Giants are a very trendy pick at plus 450 here. I think a lot of people think it's going to be their division. My favorite stat, by the way, leading into every year, there's not been a repeat winner in this division since 2004. 2004. So each year we have a new division winner. So if you're looking at the Washington football team, look at what happens in this division. It's a very close division each and every year. There's a lot of rivalries. They play each other tight. I think with the price, Sam is probably onto something here with the Cowboys, but I might nibble on the Giants a little bit.
Okay, I'll take that. Let's move on to the NFC North. Now, we could probably spend 20 minutes on the Green Bay Packers. 10.5, Sam, I just don't know what to do with this Packers team. I'll say this. If you look at the defense and you look at everybody on offense outside of Aaron Rodgers, This is not a great team. I don't love the roster. The defense, shoddy last year. You touching this at all?
If you think Rodgers leaves, go under. That's the case because bookmakers tell me this number could drop a win and a half or 2 full wins. So if he's out of town, we're talking about 9, 8.5, which even sounds crazy to say that out loud. But how can you bet this when you don't know where 12 will be? It's impossible to bet.
I'm in agreement. I think there's not much more to say, right? You can't make a wager. I think all of us would take the over if 12 is there, but if he's not, this number will obviously drop, like Sam said, and then you might look to the under. Because look, if Aaron Rodgers thought Jordan Love was any good, he wouldn't be out here demanding to get more money and putting this up. Because the Packers would say, all right, you're out of here, Jordan Love going. But I think he knows Jordan Love is not quite ready for the show. So if Jordan Love gets to start this year because Rodgers is gone, got to look at the under here.
Yeah, the only reason I'm not taking that is because look at the schedule that's on the screen. Green Bay has for whatever reason, that schedule looks super duper easy. They could easily start 6-0. I mean, and then you're, good luck with that one. All right, let's move on to the Chicago Bears. Oh boy, this is a fun team to talk about. Over under 7.5. When I first saw that, Sam, I was like, is that the Andy Dalton starts or is that Bears wins? Because I do not like this team at all this year. I still don't know how they got in the playoffs last year. Absolute luck box city. For me, it's under or pass, but maybe Sam's interested.
I like the under with Andy Dalton. I like the over with Justin Fields. And Geoff Schwartz is very excited about Justin Fields starting week number 1. I'm going to go out on a limb and think the NFL knows a little bit about the situation. You don't go to Sunday Night Football with Andy Dalton. I'm sorry, you just don't. I think the proof is in front of us. It'll be Justin Fields' show. He's going to struggle, but he'll put up numbers, and he is by far the fastest and most elusive quarterback the Chicago Bears have ever had. And they haven't even played a game yet with him under center.
Oh, boy.
So 2 reasons why I like the over, and I'll give you one caution. To your point, I love Justin Fields in this spot. I think he plays early on. He gives them just kind of a rejuvenated factor of this offense, right? Team be excited to go. But number 2, more importantly, I think, defensively at times, defense is an emotional position, right? And you play kind of depressed on defense if you don't trust your quarterback. So I think Chicago's defense this year is going to feel so good having a quarterback they trust to help them win football games on offense. The one thing that worries me, though, is that Matt Nagy was very inflexible with changing the offense around what Mitch Trubisky did well, which is really use his legs and kind of 1 or 2 reads. So I'm curious how he implements an offense early on for Justin Fields with really no offseason program and obviously a shorter training camp now. I wonder if he's more flexible with putting in things that Fields has done well at Ohio State. And so that's my one concern here, but I think over here, definitely the play of Fields to start it.
So if you're scoring at home, these 2 gentlemen really like Justin Fields in Chicago, and they hate Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. All right, let's move on. Who's going to win this awful division? Folks, we haven't really talked about the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to whisper it, but Mike Zimmer's a really good coach, and they started freakishly bad last year, 0-3, and could never climb out of it. I would take a look at the Minnesota Vikings plus 280. They've made some upgrades. I know Patrick Peterson's a million years old in the secondary. I kind of think Minnesota could be onto something. We'll see.
Let's remind the people, though, you're betting on 2 things here. You're betting on the division, but you're also betting on the certainty or uncertainty of Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
I can tell you this. If you like Minnesota at plus 280, that's with Rodgers in the division. If Rodgers leaves, you're talking about Minnesota, Green Bay both potentially being minus 125 or plus 125. The juice will be very similar, Geoff. If Rodgers leaves, they will elevate Minnesota a whole lot.
2 things about the Vikings here, and Jason mentioned one of them. Mike Zimmer's defense started really bad last season. I do not expect them to start as bad this year. And they upgraded their offensive line. 2 draft picks early on in the draft, I think, will rejuvenate that run game, rejuvenate the play action pass, get them going. I think for the price here, the Vikings are a good play because I think Green Bay's too much juice to lay if you don't know if Rodgers is playing or not.
All right, let's get to the NFC South. Weird division because I've already mentioned the Bucs could go undefeated. By the way, I beat Skip Bayless on that one. I had a couple weeks ago. I had that one locked in the chamber from March. At any rate, let's go to the New Orleans Saints. Over under 9.5. I don't know where they come up with this number, Sam. Maybe you have some input here. I know that they've looked good in small doses without Drew Brees, but this roster, all of it, they look slow. They looked old. The secondary, spotty. They lose Hendrickson, their leading sack artist. Under or pass for me. And I know I like Sean Payton a lot. I'm a seller on Jameis Winston.
The number is this high because the books don't believe in what Drew Brees was the last couple of years. He was essentially a statue. He couldn't get outside the pocket, and he couldn't throw the ball 20 yards. I watched more Saints games than maybe anybody last year, Geoff, because I had a lot of overs that never went over because Drew Brees sucked last year. He was not good. So I think with the combination of Hill and Winston, you get a little bit of gadget, you get a little bit of bombs over the top. I think the quarterbacks, there's not much of a drop-off, and that's why this number is that high at 9.5.
My concern with the Saints and taking them over is I just think they're going to be deflated without Drew Brees there. There's not going to be the same team with him there, and I just worry that Winston or Hill, whoever it is, just can't live up to what Drew Brees had done. And remember, their roster got a lot worse this year. They had to cut a bunch of veterans. They couldn't sign a bunch of guys because of the salary cap concerns they had as well. So they're not as good as a team. They have a worse quarterback. I get your point, Sam, that Brees really couldn't function, but he still managed to get the ball to running backs, to get the ball in the flat, to get the ball down the seam. He still was able to do some things pretty well. I just don't trust this number. I'd stay away because of the juice, but I'm going under here with the Saints. They're a big fade team for me this year.
Yeah, this division is very shaky, but one team that's not is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, defending Super Bowl champions. The schedule is out. They open with Dallas. Their number, Tampa Bay, remember, they returned every offensive player, every defensive player that started in the Super Bowl. All of them are back. And the number we're seeing, is it 11.5? 11.5, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Sam, you could not talk me into the under. I just want to remind everybody, Tom Brady showed up in a new city with a new team, a new system, new players, new playbook in a COVID year. They struggled to, I think they started 8-5, and then second half of the season, I mean, they just dominated. I mean, they were dominating everyone.
Some guys just change the whole locker room. Jordan did it, Kobe did it, Brady does it. He just makes you want to win. He makes you care. He makes you want to give a damn. And that team, they could win 13, they could win 14. They are good enough on both sides of the ball. And Tom Brady he still doesn't make mistakes. So I'm not going under, no doubt about it.
The thing that people don't realize the most about Tom Brady, and Sam, you know this as watching him play so closely up in Boston, is that the best thing he does is not make mistakes, as you mentioned, right? He does not make mistakes. He does not throw the ball to the other team. He doesn't put the team in bad situations offensively, and then he continued to do that. Now he's in year 2 of this offense, right? Kind of like in theory, they should be better on offense in year 2. We saw after the late bye week, the week 13 bye, as you mentioned, Jason, and they did not lose after that bye. They changed offensively. They found their rhythm. They're going to be better this season. They're going to be hungry for another Super Bowl. They're kind of going all in, right? A bunch of players coming back on shorter deals to kind of get this W now. So I'm with you guys. I think over is the play here.
Okay, Conrad, can you get that schedule back up? Tampa Bay schedule. Look at the first 8 weeks, guys, before the bye. Show me the loss. Like, none of those teams are good. Maybe the Chargers is a tough one, cross-country trip. But New England, uncertainty. Miami, come on, give me a break. Philadelphia, I mean, Geoff already killed Nick Sirianni, like, here on this live stream. The Bears, come on. And the Saints without... So, like, the first 8 weeks, Tampa could go 8-0, could they not? And then you're coming out of the bye rested to face Washington and the Giants? I'm just telling you guys, like, this undefeated stuff is real. It's not going to go away.
Yeah, I said 13 or 14 games. I mean, that's realistic in Tampa Bay, for sure.
Yeah. All right, so who's going to win the division? You guys know where I stand. I mean, 182 doesn't seem like bad juice, Geoff, does it?
It does. I think, take the over the win total here. Can I entice anyone in Atlanta? I think Atlanta's going to be better than people think. I know they've been really tough to bet on the last couple of years. They kind of rip your heart out. Really, any side you bet. You take them to win, to cover, a side, a total, whatever it is. But I think Atlanta's going to be good. They have the pieces to be good. They're going to be good, better defensively just by default, not having Dan Quinn there. Offensively, we saw what Arthur Smith did in Tennessee very quickly with Ryan Tannehill. They're probably not going to do it, but I'll maybe put a little penny on them.
I don't know. He likes wasting money, doesn't he?
I think this juice will only get higher by the time we get to week number 1. We talked about this with Kyle Pitts on the draft show. We said go under 5.5, minus 140. By draft night, it was minus 1,000.
Yeah.
So this juice could only build. You might see Tampa minus 250 by week number 1 to win the South.
Get it early, folks. All right, NFC West, for my money, best division in football. It is a stacked division. You guys know my love for the Arizona Cardinals. I had to wedge them in the show against Sam's better judgment. He's going to fight me on it. Listen, I know that the secondary, we'll just start with the negatives, okay? When quarterback 1 is Malcolm Burnt Toast Butler, that's a problem, but their front 7 is very good. Very strong. J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones. I like the rookie Collins. Isaiah Simmons in year 2. I'm telling you, This is a team to watch. 8.5 to me feels low with plus money. Sam, what am I missing?
I will not go under a minus 162, that's for sure. You take the over here if you're looking to bet this team. They do have the weapons on offense, but I'm still a little bit nervous. If I do make this bet over 8.5, I am nervous about Cliff. 4 minutes to go, 2 minutes to go in overtime. I feel nervous every single time out, Geoff.
That's fair.
In year 2, Kyler Murray did not improve, at least offensively. The offense as a whole did not improve as much as people expected them to improve. Look at the numbers, right? Great rushing team, not really efficient in the passing game. I follow that on Kingsbury. Can he change what he's done? Look, the air raid offense, and there's different variations of it, obviously, kind of the Lincoln Riley, the power raid, right? You're running a bunch of powers. Kingsbury runs kind of a traditional-ish air raid offense. It doesn't work in the NFL, right? And teams have figured it out. What is he going to do to change what he has done for so many years? I have to see it first. I don't trust him to do it. So I'm going under Arizona here. I think they have the pieces. You guys are right. The roster is pretty good, but the coach, I don't trust him. I have to see him make the adjustments that he needs to make to be good in the NFL as an offensive coach.
All right, let's talk about a coach everybody trusts. Yes, Mr. McVay and the Rams. We barely touched on him in the show. I think we saved him for last. Sam, I like this team. I'll just give you one number. Matt Stafford was 5th in attempted air yards last year, okay? He loves to air it out big arm. Jared Goff was 30th. He can't throw the ball down the field. Now, the line is a little shaky, but Stafford, what do? They go get him Deshaun Jackson. They draft Tutu Atwell. They got 2-4-3 guys on the outside. I like this Rams team a lot. I know it's a tough division. I'm selling all my Seattle stocks. Sorry, Seattle, but give me the Rams over.
How about that week 1 total, too? Chicago and the Rams has gone from 43.5 to 45, 46 around the country right now. They're expecting points in Los Angeles, and that's why you go out and you make a move to bring in Matthew Stafford. The number, though, it's perfect. 10.5 is perfect.
It is, yeah.
I can't fight this one way or the other. It's a pass. It's okay, Geoff, to pass.
Oh, it's definitely okay to pass. And we know that Sean McVay will be passing the ball a lot with Stafford. My concern is defensively, right? Last year they were great on defense, and we know that defensive regression is a big part of the year-to-year analysis of every NFL team. They lost their defensive coordinator as well. So we saw last year at times the offense bogged down. I know you hope that Stafford fixes those issues, but if he cannot, the defense is not going to carry this team like it did last season. And I'm really high on the Niners this year. So
Ooh.
I do worry about the Rams getting above 10.5.
Okay, maybe we'll get a NFC West special later in the summer. Sam, you're looking at the who's going to win the division. I'm surprised to hear this love for the Niners. I personally don't see it. You guys know where my money's at here. It's obviously on the Cardinals, obviously.
You're taking the long shot here, huh?
I don't know how they're a long shot. Come on. 8.5 was a win total plus 550. I like Arizona to win the division or the Rams, but I think there's some value on Arizona.
There's an echo in my ear. It says San Francisco, and it says I agree with Geoff Schwartz at 2-1. They were decimated on both sides of the ball last year, and the draft selection of Trey Lance, Geoff, lights a fire under Jimmy Garoppolo, who takes them to the division crown. How about that?
So he's staying healthy.
I don't. If it's Jimmy G or Trey Lance, they're winning the division, right? If Kyle Shanahan's going to play Trey Lance, he trusts him to play well in that offense. He said it already, right? He's not going to get the job until he's ready for the job, but he hasn't even earned the opportunity to play for the job yet. Jason, look, when Jimmy G has been healthy, he's been healthy one season, right, with the Niners. They made the Super Bowl, right? Kyle Shanahan did not forget how to coach. He needs a healthy roster on offense and a much healthier roster on defense, right? Bosa comes back to rush the passer. I Niners are clearly the play here. I'm very high on them. And when Trey Lance gets to play, he's the most talented quarterback that he's had at that position. When he plays this year, he will light it up in that offense.
Something that's unquantifiable, like what does the Jimmy G, Trey Lance thing do to the locker room? Like that, they were a huge talking point. They go to the Super Bowl with Jimmy G. Sam, that's something I don't know how to put into, I don't have an algorithm, but I don't know how to put that into my evaluation of what to make of the Niners. Because there is something there.
I think they have injury regression the right way. I think they had so many problems last year. This happens in the NFL. It's very cyclical. Sometimes you get bitten by the bug and you can't recover. They're a deep team, but they didn't have depth where they got hurt last year. And I think the offseason they had will prove that they're going to be ready to rock and roll this year.
I agree. Well, wholeheartedly. So I'm going to pick them in a second to do something else in the NFC.
All right, let's get to who's going to win the NFC. I guess we know Jeff's answer. You guys know, I don't want to say it for the 18th time. Arizona Cardinals, I'm pounding the table, plus 1,700. I also do like the Rams a lot.
Jeff, I defer to you because I stole your thunder on the Niners to win the division. You steal mine here.
Yeah, I just look. I know we could go with chalk here with Kansas City, and we could go with Tampa Bay, but realistically, the rematch is not going to happen. But it'd be nice if it did. I'd love to watch it. I'm on the Niners here again. If they have a healthy quarterback, they win a lot of football games. Shanahan did not forget how to coach, and to Sam, you made the point. It's very true, right? They were so hurt last year. You come back to the mean, and you probably go past the mean, right? Like you're going to be so healthy next season. They have the pieces in place to get this done. I'm going with the Niners here. I think it's great value, plus 650.
Kyle Shanahan, 1 winning season in 4 in San Francisco. All right, anyways, we got through the NFC. I had to get that in, Jeff. We got through the AFC. Let's get to who's going to win the Super Bowl. Sammy P, where is your money looking at the board? I know you like the Chargers a lot. To win out of all the marbles, who you got?
Well, to win the championship, we're talking about doubling the odds of plus 550. I've done this bet now 2 years in a row. I did it 2 years ago at 6-1. They won the Super Bowl. I did it last year, plus 575. They got all the way to the Super Bowl, and I could have, if I was smart, I could have taken the Buccaneers and hedged, but I didn't because I'm an idiot sometimes. You take the Chiefs because they're going to the AFC title game, and if they go there, they'll probably be the one. Even if they're the 2, they're favored. It's a bet that puts you in a position long-term to hedge, sell, get creative, do what you want. They have the most talent in football. They have the best player in football, and at 575, I will put 100 down right now, and it's a long-term investment, Jeff, because if they go as far as I think they can, this is a good bet, and I can't lose.
Think about this. They've lost 2 playoff games with Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes, right? One of them was the overtime game where the Patriots scored 37 points. We know, D4 was offsides. Otherwise, that game was over. So that's how they lost one game. The other game they lost with 18 backup offensive linemen, right? So they're good at, to Sam's point, they're going to be an AFC Championship game. And if they're give me the Chiefs. It's very simple. And they fixed their offensive line, by the way, guys, with adding so much depth that if they lose a couple guys along the way, unlike last year, they have backups to fill those spots and not have the same problems they had. For a whole myriad of reasons, I think the offense will kind of get back to basics, more screens. They're going to be hungry to win again. Give me the Chiefs.
I'll put some pizza money on the Browns and the Bills to unseat everybody's favorite, the Kansas City Chiefs, and win the Super Bowl. All right, guys, this has been great. It's time for Call Your Shot. This is fun. Our smart producer, Conrad, cooked it up. Sammy P, call yo shot.
Offensive Rookie of the Year, let's go to Justin Fields at 4-1. Assuming everything goes to plan and he starts week number 1, he will have opportunities, a weapon with his arms and with his legs, well, his arm, rather. He's not going to throw the ball left-handed like Mahomes can. Micah Parsons at plus 450. If the Dallas defense goes to the next level like I think they can, plus 450 is a pretty good bet. And I'm all in. Quack, quack, quack. Justin Herbert, MVP. Give me 4,500 yards. Give me 40 passing touchdowns. I'm in on him at 22-1. And my favorite prop at Fox Bet, pretty nice Rolodex, too, at Fox Bet. 730.5 receiving yards on Jalen Waddle. He might get 1,000 this year. Get him the ball and get the hell out of the way.
Jalen Waddle. Wow. Jeff Schwartz, you're on the tee box.
I am in the tee box. So I went a couple long shots here. I went with Trey Lance to be Offensive Rookie of the Year here, just because I think if he gets into the offense, he would do a fantastic job when presented with the opportunity to play. Now, he might play 10 games. He might play 11 games. I don't know, but I think Trey Lance here, and that number has dropped a lot in the last couple of days, in fact. Defensive player of the year, I took a shot here. Will Zahari, the defensive end out of Georgia, drafted by the Giants in the second round, had a knee concern. He can play. He's a baller, and I think that I just kind of took a stab in the dark here, a long shot that could rack up 10 or 12 sacks. We know defensive ends often win that award. MVP, Pat Mahomes. Okay, guys, here we go. This Tim Tebow prop, I could not believe Fox Bet was offering this prop. Oh, boy. Tim Tebow has not played an NFL regular season game since 2012. He has not been good at football since 2009. He is not going to make the roster in Jacksonville. This is easy money here. Take the under. This is unbelievable, guys. He's not going to transition from quarterback to tight end at 33 years old. He was an average athlete for a tight end when he was 23. Now he's 33. He's not making the roster. This is a sideshow. I do not know why Urban Meyer did this. There's zero reasons why Tim Tebow should ever make the Jaguars roster. Take the under here.
Watch Tim Tebow catch like a fake punt for like 30 yards, and Jeff is just going to
He's not going to be on the roster. It doesn't matter what
right.
prop
Yes.
number. It could have been one. It could have been half a yard. He's not going to make the team.
Yes, I do love the fire at Tim Tebow, Jeff Schwartz. All right, my calling, my shot. Where do we begin? Trevor Lawrence. I'm on board, folks. Trevor Lawrence is your offensive rookie of the year. That's a lock. I mean, short of an injury, Lawrence is the guy. Defensive rookie of the year, Jason Oweh. Okay, Ravens lost their top 2 pass rushers. What does Wink Martindale do more than anybody? Led the league in blitzes, number 2 in quarterback knockdowns. They just send guys at the quarterback. Oweh could have double-digit sacks. MVP, it's a bit of a Hail Mary, okay? Sam's snickering over there at me. Matt Stafford, why the heck not?
They'll throw the ball enough.
They are. They're going to be trailing because they lost their defensive coordinator, lost a lot of defender. I think they lost 4 defensive starters. Stafford's going to put up, like, video game numbers. It's going to be crazy. And then Trevor Lawrence. I know I wanted Zach Wilson, but Trevor Lawrence, over 22.5 touchdown passes. Sam, you recited Justin Herbert's stats. Justin Herbert, when it crushed
4,300 yards, 31 touchdowns.
And Trevor Lawrence isn't going to do better numbers than that? Or at least in the ballpark? Like, Trevor Lawrence is going to make you money this year. Don't listen to Geoff and Sam saying, the Jags, forget the Jags. I'm telling you guys, Jags, get on board. We're going to clip this off, and I'm going to send it to you in October when the Jags are like 7-4 and spicy. Oh, I can't wait.
You're going to be so pissed when he gives the ball to his third down back, Travis Etienne, at the 1 many times this year. You're going to be a nervous wreck.
Urban Meyer. All right, guys, it's been a blast. We went over an hour. Sammy P, thank you for coming out to L.A. and crushing it. Geoff Schwartz from Parts Unknown, killing it as usual. Guys, this is a lot of fun. Remember, Talk the Line. We're going to be back soon. See you then.